Welcome all. The play Look Back in Anger by John Osborne. In this video, we are going to see about the characters of the play Look Back in Anger. The characters are Jimmy Porter, the main character of the play, Alison Porter, Jimmy's wife, Cliff Lovers, friend to both Jimmy and Alison, Helena Charles, Alison's best friend, Colonel Redfern, Alison's father. Summary of the play. The first act opens on a Sunday in April. Jimmy and Cliff are reading the Sunday papers while Allison is ironing in a corner of the room. Jimmy is a hot tempered young man and he begins to try and provoke both Cliff and Allison. He is antagonistic towards Cliff's working class background and makes fun of him for his low intelligence. Cliff is good natured and takes the antagonism. Jimmy attempts to provoke his wife Allison by making fun of her family and her well heeled life before she married him. Jimmy also seems to display a nostalgia for England's powerful past. He notes that the world has entered a dreary American age, a fact he begrudgingly accepts. Allison tries off Jimmy's rants and begs for peace. This makes Jimmy more feared in his insults. Cliff attempts to keep peace between the two, and this leads to a playful scuffle between the two. Their wrestling ends up running into Allison, causing her to fall down. Jimmy is sorry for the incident, but Allison makes him leave the room. After Jimmy leaves, Allison confides to Cliff that she is pregnant with Jimmy's child, though she has not yet told Jimmy. Cliff advises her to tell him, but when Cliff goes out and Jimmy re enters the room, the two instead fall into an intimate game. Jimmy impersonates a stuffed bear, and Allison impersonates a toy squirrel. Cliff returns to tell Allison that her old friend Helena Charles has called her on the phone. Allison leaves to take the call and returns with the news that Helena is coming to stay for a visit. Jimmy does not like Helena and goes into a rage in which he wishes that Allison would suffer in order to know what it means to be a real person. He curses her and wishes that she could have a child one day to watch it die. 2 weeks later, Helena has arrived and Allison discusses her relationship with Jimmy. She tells of how they met and how in their younger days they used to crash parties with their friend Hugh Tanner. Jimmy maintains an affection for Hugh's mother, though his relationship with Hugh was strained when Hugh left to travel the world and Jimmy stayed to be with Allison. Jimmy seems to regret that he could not leave, but he is also angry at Hugh for abandoning his mother. Helena inquires about Allison's affectionate relationship with Cliff, and Allison tells her that they are strictly friends. Cliff and Jimmy return to the flat, and Helena tells them that she and Allison are leaving for church. Jimmy goes into an anti religious rant and ends up insulting Allison's family once again. Helena becomes angry, and Jimmy dares her to slap him on the face, warning her that he will slap her back. He tells her of how he watched his father die as a young man. His father had been injured fighting in the Spanish Civil War and had returned to England only to die shortly after. Allison and Helena begin to leave for church, and Jimmy feels betrayed by his wife. A phone call comes in for Jimmy and he leaves the room. Helena tells Allison that she has called Allison's father to come get her and take her away from his abusive home. Allison relents and says that she will go when her father picks her up the next day. When Jimmy returns, he tells Allison that Mrs. Tanner Hugh's mother has become sick and she is going to die. Jimmy decides to visit her and he demands that Allison make a choice of whether to go with Helena or with him. Allison picks up her things and leaves for church, and Jimmy collapses on the bed, heartbroken by his wife's decision. The next evening, Alison is packing and talking with her father, Colonel Redfern. The colonel is a soft spoken man who realizes that he does not quite understand the love that exists between Jimmy and Alison. He admits that the actions of him and his wife are partly to blame for their split. The colonel was an officer in the British military and served in India, and he is nostalgic for his time there. He considers his service to be some of the best years of his life. Alison observes that her father is hurt because the present is not the past, and that Jimmy is hurt because he feels the present is only the past. Alison begins to pack her toy squirrel, but then she decides not to do so. Helena and Cliff soon enter the scene. Alison leaves a letter for Jimmy explaining why she has left, and she gives it to Cliff. After Alison leaves, Cliff becomes angry and gives the letter to Helena, blaming her for the situation. Jimmy returns, bewildered that he was almost hit by Colonel Redfern's car, and that Cliff pretended not to see him when he was walking by on the street. He reads Alison's letter and becomes very angry. Helena tells him that Alison is pregnant, but Jimmy tells her that he does not care. He insults Helena and she slaps him, then passionately kisses him. Several months pass, and the third act opens with Jimmy and Cliff once again reading the Sunday papers, while Helena stands in the corner ironing. Jimmy and Cliff still engage in their angry banter, and Helena's religious tendencies have taken the brunt of Jimmy's punishment. Jimmy and Cliff perform scenes from musicals and comedy shows, but when Helena leaves, Cliff notes that things do not feel the same with her here. Cliff then tells Jimmy that he wants to move out of the apartment. Jimmy takes the news calmly and tells him that he has been a loyal friend and is worth more than any woman. When Helena returns, the three plan to go out. Allison suddenly enters there. Allison and Helena talk while Jimmy leaves the room. He begins to loudly play his trumpet. Allison has lost her baby and looks very sick. Helena tells Allison that she should not be angry with her for what she has done, but Allison is only grieved by the loss of her baby. Helena is driven to distraction by Jimmy's trumpet playing and demands that he come into the room. When he comes back in, he laments the fact that Allison has lost the baby, but shrugs it off. Helena then tells Jimmy and Allison that her sense of morality was right or wrong, has not diminished, and that she knows she must leave. Allison attempts to persuade her to stay, telling her that Jimmy will be alone if she leaves. When Helena leaves, Jimmy attempts to once again become angry, but Allison tells him that she has now gone through the emotional and physical suffering that he has always wanted her to feel. He realizes that she has suffered greatly, has become like him, and becomes softer and more tender towards her. The play ends with Jimmy and Allison embracing once again, playing their game of beer and the toy squirrel. And this is the end of the summary of the play Look Back in Anger by John Osborne. And this is the conclusion of it. Thank you.